Hi, how are you? This is Phantom of the Ore, and hi. And this is episode 7 of our Let's Play. I'm going to teach you how to make an oak tree farm today that's basically going to give you endless wood. And the reason for that is that I already built this farm in my survival world. I actually recorded myself making it and everything, but I had some complications while recording, and long story short, this is my 4th time making this video. So I just thought I'd go into creative and show you how I make it from scratch. The reason for why I want to show you this farm so bad is because I think it's really useful to have in the early game. And as you can see over here, this is what it's going to look like at the end. Well, that's the full greenhouse version. I'm going to show you the way I made it in my survival world. So the two main things you're going to need for this oak farm is glass blocks and stripped oak. Now, you can make this farm out of whatever material you want, but that's what I made my farm out of. This is a pretty big space, so make sure it's all cleared out ahead of time. Also, because you're going to have to smelt a lot of sand, I suggest smelting the sand while you're clearing this out because it'll save you a lot of time because you're multitasking. So you're going to need 40 blocks of stripped oak logs, and what you're going to do is, you see these 4 corners here in the blue? You're going to go up 10 high with the stripped oak. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you're going to do that for all the corners. So you see we have the 4 corners here made. And now you're going to need 25 stacks of glass. This 25 stacks of glass in survival took me about 30 minutes to get because I live near a desert. And I went through about 7 unenchanted iron shovels just to give you an estimate of what the scope of collecting all that is. But it's not so bad if you live near a desert. If you don't live near a desert, you don't have to use glass, but stay tuned till the end of the video because I'm going to show you another way to do it. But when you have your glass, you're going to connect the corners like this. And before you continue, just make sure that the saplings line up right, because you might have counted wrong. So actually this wool here is a problem because I can't plant saplings here. The way you're going to plant the saplings is 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here, and so on and so forth until you get all the way to the other end. So 1, 2, 3. And that's how it should look like. It should be even with 3 blocks of space on either side of the sapling. And the reason for why the area actually needs to be larger is because the saplings need 3 blocks of space in every direction. So the reason I told you to have an area this big cleared out is that so your saplings have enough room on all sides. Once you're sure that you counted this correctly, you're going to connect to the next side. And then once again, make sure the saplings actually line up correctly. Because you don't want it to look ugly, you know? You want it to fit nice on a grid. So as you can see, this lines up nice and evenly too. So we counted correctly. Now, you will need roughly 2 stacks of saplings to fill out this entire farm. You're not going to go through the full 2 stacks, but you will need more than 1 stack. So make sure you have that on hand. And the reason for why this has to be 10 blocks high specifically, that's a very important number, is because oak trees need 9 blocks of space above them in order to grow. But if you put a block on the 10th space, you avoid having this situation, which in survival mode is a nightmare. At least I personally hate farming these types of trees because they're too big and they take too long to find all the logs, and it just interrupts your flow. It's the reason for why I just don't plant oak trees without doing it this way, because these are a real pain in the butt. That's why this farm is so efficient, because it's just so much faster when all the trees are not allowed to turn into giant trees. So once you know that all your numbers are correct, you can just start filling in the glass. Also, you're going to need about 3 stacks of coal to smelt all the glass, so make sure you have that on hand. And to clear out this area in a survival world, you're going to need, of course, a good amount of shovels, pickaxes, and dirt blocks, because you might have to fill certain spots in. Once all the glass is filled in, you can start filling in the rest of the farm. I like to start with the perimeter first, because that makes the rest of the grid easy to fill in. Because then I don't have to count everything, I can just visualize it. And if I counted correctly, this farm actually gives you 133 trees. This tree looks very suspicious right here. Hang on a second. It's not a super mega tree, but I don't like the size of that tree. No mega trees should grow. That should be the biggest they get. And the best thing about this farm is that let's assume all of these saplings are full grown, right? If you start farming trees here, and then immediately plant the sapling as soon as you're done, and you just go down the row like this, by the time you get all the way down to the other side of the farm, these saplings will have grown again. As a matter of fact, this one literally just grew. A final touch you can add is if you have 3 stacks of stripped oak, you can put them along the top here, just along the perimeter. And I think it makes the farm look a lot more finished. It looks really nice. So what do you do if you don't live near a desert? Well, you can do what I demonstrated over here, where you can take any block you want and put it like this in this pattern, because as long as the trees have light, I think they're fine to grow. I don't even know if they need light, but I think they do. So you can set it up like this, and it's less expensive that way. You don't have to go through all that glass. You can even set up fences if that's what you want to do. I just think the glass looks pretty, and that's why I use it. Also, you can make it into a full-on greenhouse if you have the resources, but you will need 31 more stacks of glass in order to do it. So that's really it for the oak tree farm. It doesn't look like much, but it's super useful in the early game, or super useful really for anything. If you want to make a really big project that requires a lot of wood, this will give you that really fast. Also, I made an acacia tree farm. I also did this in my survival world right next to my oak tree farm. The reason being that I live in a savanna biome, and most of my house is made of acacia wood. Now, a lot of people think acacia is ugly, but the resource pack I play on actually makes it look good, which is why I use it. And acacia's a lot easier to grow than oak trees because you don't have that risk of mega trees that are going to be super hard to farm. All you have to do is plant them 5 spots apart, and they're fine. They just need 5 blocks of space all around. And as far as my trees go, I went down like this one and then planted the sapling down there. It doesn't affect their growth at all. The only reason I went down like that in my survival world is so that I can keep track of the grid without having to count everything. The reason for why I needed these farms in the first place is because I'm going to build a barn. You can see it in the distance over there. That's going to require a lot of materials, and I wanted to make sure that I had a renewable source of wood ready for that. So subscribe if you want to stay tuned for that next build in episode 8. Also, don't forget to check out my no commentary series and my new series on an extreme server, which is so hard that I actually have to live underground. This video is going to be short because, like I said, this is the 4th time I have to do it, so at this point I just want to get it out. But I really enjoyed making this, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Until next time.